Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Spurs Up Show, the best Gamecocks podcast on the internet. Today is Thursday, May the 21st, 2020. On today's show, former Gamecocks first baseman Matt Williams joins the show for an exclusive interview. We talk about his career at South Carolina, including clutch performances against Clemson, playing for both Chad Holbrook and Mark Kingston, running through the 2008 postseason on the way to the Super Regionals, his current coaching career at North Greenville, the quarantine, baseball in general. We talk a little bit of everything on the show, and it's all brought to you by our friends over at SeatGeek. SeatGeek, the best ticket buying app by far, the only ticket buying app I use, and the only one I recommend. Guys, go download the SeatGeek app or go to SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code SPURSUP. You're going to save $20 off your first purchase. Guys, live sports are on their way back. Sports are on their way back. So we're seeing left and right. Guys are being able to come back. Sports are coming back. Eventually, we're going to get fans in the seats as well, and you're going to need your tickets. SeatGeek is the way to go. They got a great ticket rating system for you, which rates the tickets based on the type of deal you're getting, guys. So never again do you have to scalp. You have to worry about overpaying. You're going to know exactly where you're sitting, what you're getting, what you're buying. You're going to know where your money's going to, and you're going to have that peace of mind knowing, hey, I'm getting the absolute best bang for my buck. I'm getting the absolute best value I can get, all thanks to our friends over at SeatGeek. They really are changing the game in regards to ticket buying. So again, that's SeatGeek. Go download the SeatGeek app or go to SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code SPURSUP, SPRSUP, to save $20 off your first purchase. Let's get it. All right, joining us today on the Spurs Up Show is a man that played for Gamecocks Baseball from 2014 to 2018. During his career, he hit .221 for South Carolina, 6 home runs, 35 RBIs. He's also now the assistant coach, or one of the assistant coaches at North Greenville, joining former Gamecock catcher Landon Powell there as well, as you all know. Pleased to be joined, former Gamecocks first baseman Matt Williams. Matt, appreciate you taking the time, man. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to get down to business and let's talk some baseball.
Absolutely. So I want to start back for the beginning for you, Matt, because you're an in-state guy from Honeapath, South Carolina. Just kind of talk about your recruitment. Obviously, you were a highly touted guy, and I think it's interesting when you were getting recruited when you were in high school was really, you know, when you could say Gamecock Baseball was at an all-time high, was at its peak, if you will, you know, had won back-to-back College World Series. It went back to Omaha in 12, and I know 2013 was your senior year of high school, and they had a really good team that year as well. Just talk about your recruitment. When did South Carolina come into play for you, and what other schools were you considering? And, you know, how easy was the decision, I guess, to stay in state and go to Carolina?
Man, you're making me open up the
open the yearbook. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so Tanner was still a coach when I was coming through. They had just won 10-11, obviously. I looked at some other schools like Furman, but I was an athlete that played baseball. So I played two other sports in high school. So it wasn't like baseball, it was just baseball season. Football was football season, you know, basketball was basketball season. So that was kind of how it was for me in high school. And I didn't really get serious with baseball till like my junior or senior year. Mm-hmm. And I actually they offered me a walk-on spot. They didn't have any spots. South Carolina didn't. So I took that, and I was looking at like Furman. I looked at other couple places like Newberry, football. There was a couple D2 schools that wanted me to play football as well. Furman also wanted me to play football, but I didn't know what I wanted to do, honestly. My dad went to South Carolina, so I think that was kind of a big factor in me. And I bleed garnet black, so that was pretty easy. And growing up, I saw the guys. I made the All-Star team my senior year of high school. I saw the guy. Gene Cohn was on the team. Zach Madden was on the team. Those two guys ended up being my roommates. Josh Reagan, Thomas Bessinger, like a bunch of just Jordan Gore, Taylor Widener, like that whole core group. And I was like, I can play with these guys, you know. And I kind of let that motivate me, being a walk-on. My freshman year, like I saw how they were playing, and I hit pretty well my freshman year. I played well, played better than I thought I would. Holbrook actually told me I played my way out of a red shirt my freshman year, but they just really didn't have any spots. So we had Griner, Pancake, Schrock, Kmart, you name it, you know. So we had some dudes, and they brought in Elliott too that year. Caldwell. So it was tough for me to find a spot. And that's kind of what motivated me going in as a freshman. I was like, man, I see these dudes, and those guys were good. I saw them all and played with them, and I thought I could continue to play with them. So that's kind of what motivated me to do that and continue to go to South Carolina and not transfer. And I can't say, looking back on it now with the new rules they're making with transfer, I don't know what I would have done, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, if the new rules now where they're starting to make where you can transfer anywhere, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what I would have done, honestly.
That's really interesting because I didn't know that for sure, and I bet a lot of other Gamecock fans didn't know that too. That you were a walk-on. I had no idea that was the case.
Yep, I was a walk-on. Yep.
Huh. Interesting. So, hey, I'm just curious, what position did you play football-wise? What was your position?
QB.
QB?
Oh yeah.
Oh really? Nice.
Oh yeah.
Very good.
Played safety too.
Nice. Very good. And the athlete, just the pure athlete there.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, it was football season. I was running 40 times, doing the shuttle, like all
right. All in on football.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just curious. Again, you get to South Carolina. Like you said, family ties or whatever kind of led you there, and I would say it turned out to be a pretty good decision. But what was the transition like? You said you had a really good, like you were talking about, you had a good. You came in immediately, felt like you did pretty well. What was the transition like? I guess from high school to, you're jumping into the SEC level. Was it easier than you thought, harder than you expected? Like, what was the transition like for you?
My eyes were definitely opened. I would say that. Everyone was as good as me, if not better, at that point. And I realized that my freshman year. And I guess you remember DC Horrendous.
Right.
He kind of took me under his wing. Like, my freshman year, I was like, man, I remember sitting in the Doty one time with him eating breakfast. And I was like, man, I can't hit. I was like, I've ever not been able to hit a baseball. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's never been an issue for me my freshman year, and I was struggling a little bit. And he talked with me a little bit about approach, and I'd never mentally thought about that. Like, I just saw ball, hit ball, you know. And then I started figuring something out a little bit, and I kind of impressed myself with the way I played as a freshman with all those other guys there. And that, I think Holbrook was too a little bit. That's kind of why he wanted me around. And I ended up getting some ABs my sophomore year. I think I got my first start maybe in the SEC tournament or something my redshirt sophomore year. So he started giving me more opportunities, and I started having some success. So it kind of just went from there.
I wanted to ask you, because like you said, during your recruitment, Ray Tanner obviously steps down as head coach. Chad Holbrook takes over. Again, you were a walk-on. Did that impact maybe, like, were you a little hesitant, I guess? Like, what was your reaction, I guess, to Tanner stepping down?
Holbrook's second year as head coach was my first year, maybe, freshman.
Because he took over in 2013,
Yeah, so it was really the transition from Holbrook to ESPO recruiting. Like, gotcha. Holbrook was recruiting us early, and then it transitioned to ESPO. So I talked to Holbrook early, and then ESPO later in my junior, senior year. So, like, he started recruiting. And, having Ray Tanner as the head coach didn't really, affect me at all. I knew that I was going to be in good hands there. Like, I was going to be able to improve my baseball abilities no matter, who was there. But, I didn't. The only time I've talked with Tanner extensively is at my senior exit interview meeting. We talked for probably an hour and a half up in his office, which was pretty interesting. But that's the only time. Holbrook. That's the only transition was Holbrook. I never really got to be under Tanner, so I never really got to see his ways. But Holbrook was pretty much. He did exactly what Tanner did, and I would have done the same,
Right. What was your relationship like with him, Matt? Because, it's interesting. Your career, it's funny. I was thinking before this interview, I was like, man, it felt like Matt Williams was at Carolina for a while. And you look at your career, you were there for a while, for sure. You saw a lot. You saw the highest of highs, the lowest of lows. You saw a coaching change. And, obviously at Carolina, everything you do is under a microscope, especially –
complete staff wipeout.
Yeah, complete staff wipeout for sure, going in that 18 year. But everything you do at Carolina, especially on the baseball side, is under a microscope, especially following up. I know you guys would probably argue too. When you think about it, it was a little unfair almost what you guys, the standard, which, you love it. You love the standard that is Carolina baseball, but following up, you never want to be you never want to follow up the legend. I think that's the problem that Chad Holbrook ran into. Yeah. But what was your relationship like with him? And I guess, again, you saw him go under some heavy, heavy criticism. Constantly. I guess what was that like, and just overall your relationship with him and just your thoughts on Coach Holbrook?
Like you said, at Carolina, there's a lot of pressure. So no matter,
there's people right now that want Kingston fired. That's how much pressure there is, which is a little absurd. But yeah,
it's crazy. Like you said, I think 1 year we went to Super, the next year we didn't make it. And then the next year we went to like a Super, the next year we didn't make it or something like that. Or vice versa maybe. But there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure in the SEC, and especially at South Carolina in terms of these past like 4 to 5 years, just because it's coming off the back end of the 10 and 11 and those guys. For me, I didn't really think about it as pressure. That motivated me. Like, I wanted to be great like those guys, you know what I mean? Like, that's how I thought about it. Because I grew up watching them. They were like my idols. Like, I'm coaching with Landon Powell now, and I grew up watching them, which is, that's almost a dream come true to me besides playing the show,
Right.
Because, like, I've wanted to do coaching my whole life, and my dad's been a coach his whole life, so it's kind of runs in my blood. But as far as Coach Holbrook goes, it's kind of a touchy subject for me because, he left and we all kind of felt responsible, because it's ultimately how the team performs. The coach doesn't he's not out there playing,
Right.
And we didn't dislike Holbrook. Some of the things that we heard towards the end, we didn't really necessarily agree on, like, what was going on. Mm-hmm. But then again, it's a business, like, it's his livelihood. So he's got to do what he's got to do. And I respect Coach Holbrook to this day. He was a great coach for us. He motivated us. Like, he was a good players coach. He was easy to be around, easy to talk to. I don't have really anything bad to say about Coach Holbrook. Towards the end, but the whole Bush situation is me and him kind of bumped heads about that. When Bush stepped down after that whole debacle, which was, I will say, a pop-up between me and Hunter Taylor, and it was his ball. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that on Hunter. But
you talk about the Bush debacle. Was that – because I've heard something about that, I feel like, before. They got in an argument, basically? They
got in an argument in the dugout, and Bush showed his ass, which he knows is – I love Bush. Bush is my dog, He was in there hitting with us in the cage every single day. Like, he's the man. Mm-hmm. But he also was roommates with a guy that went to BHP, and my dad coached, Matthew Lecroy. He played with the Twins with him. Mm-hmm. So we kind of had ties there too. So they were roommates on the road. So Bush kind of took me under his wing too. And him and DC, I would say, kind of helped me out. But the Holbrook thing, it was a pop-up between me and Hunter Taylor. It dropped right where Holbrook normally would stand right there. Mm-hmm. And Bush freaked out because Holbrook freaked out on us. Bush was standing up for us, and he kind of showed him up. And, you can't do that to your head coach, right, no matter who it is or the situation, and emotions were flying. But, like, it is what it is. And Bush ended up stepping down. And me and Holbrook kind of bumped heads because he knew I liked Bush a lot. Like, he knew that was my dog. And but I don't think, like, Bush leaving affected, like, us or me, really. Obviously it created a little team turmoil, but, like, right, we talked about it. We had team meeting, like, whatever, yada, yada, and we moved past it. So, like, that's how it was, and that's kind of how I look at it. I don't really have anything bad to say about Holbrook. Like, I respect him as a coach, and I respected him when I was playing for him. I busted my balls for him. So that's how I kind of think about that situation.
For sure. So, Matt, I want to move on the field because, like you said, you're a guy growing up. You know, your dad went to Carolina. You bleed garnet and black. You got the opportunity, obviously, to play in the Carolina-Clemson series, which, I mean, it's arguably, and I would say it's the best rivalry in all of college baseball, the most intense. I mean,
yeah,
I was at all 3 games in 2018 or in 2019 and this past year, and it truly has like a super regional feel. I mean, it really, really does. The intensity, all 3 games are sold out. But you actually did pretty well against those guys. Hit 417 against them in 2017, and then everybody remembers. I mean, it's funny. You can do anything throughout your career, because I was talking to Reed Morgan about this. Like, your claim to fame is if you beat Clemson or you do something good against Clemson, that is your thing at that point, like pretty much, because fans hate Clemson so much. I mean, 2018, yeah, I mean 2018, you had the pitch hit homer in the 8th inning in the 3-2 win, which was huge, just a huge, huge moment for you. But just talk about being a player in that rivalry and what it was like for you. I mean, coming up in the state, being a Gamecock fan, and then getting thrown into that, and then having the big moments you had. I mean, that had to be super sweet for you.
Yeah. Looking back on that, those are probably my most memorable games. I mean, with the crowd and the energy and everything just going on, it was a huge atmosphere. Like you said, almost like a super regional type deal. So you don't have to get up for those games. You don't have to. And it's Clemson, so that even adds to it. And we all know those boys, so they all grew up. The majority of them, we all know them. We played against them in travel ball and growing up and all this kind of stuff. So that even adds a little fuel to the fire. And we all have family, and I mean, we're all trying to scramble to get tickets for everybody to come, that we know. So that whole rivalry it's an incredible rivalry. They gotta continue to do that and find that third venue somewhere. And I like how they're moving it around a little bit. I think that's good. Just so everyone in the state has a chance, They're not traveling everywhere. But yeah, I don't know what it was. I guess I was seeing beach balls against them. I remember the first time we played them when Beer hit that walk off at our place. They brought in Hennessy to face me. And Bush was our first base coach at the time. And I'm like, Bush, I'm about to sit on a slider here. He said, do it. He's like, do it. And I ended up getting 2-0, and he threw me a fastball, and I hit a double down left field line. And the TJ was on third. He had a triple the at bat before. And that put us ahead or tied it or something. So, and then I had a buddy that went to BHP with me, Andrew Cox. He was their first baseman at the time. So that was even more like we're good buddies. He's actually at Furman now. It's kind of a touchy subject for Furman, but
right. Yeah.
Those boys, my heart goes out to all those boys. I know a couple guys that play for them as well. So it's a sad situation. But yeah, so Rudy played for Clemson as well, and that even added fuel to the fire. So that whole rivalry it's got to continue. It's got to they got to keep moving it places, get everybody involved. That's awesome. The players love it, and I know the fans love it. So
yeah, I was gonna say I don't think any Gamecock fans miss seeing Seth Beer in the box. He just, for whatever reason, felt like he owned us. He felt like he just owned us.
He gave me jet lag at first a couple times. Not gonna lie. Ask Will Crow about it. So I got a story for you. Me, Will Crow, and my buddy Taylor Allison from home. We went out to eat at Wild Wings in Anderson. We were staying in Anderson before we went up and played them in Greenville. And we went out to Wild Wings, and my buddy from home's a Clemson fan, and he was giving him crap. Crow was pitching the next day. He was giving him crap about Beer. He's like, yeah, we'll see if Beer can hit 96. He ended up striking him out a couple of times, I think, but he put one over the freaking wall and right over the train tracks. So that's a fun little story. My buddy from home. Now Will's gonna be in the dang big leagues next year.
For sure. So real quick, deep dive into that home run you hit against Clemson. I mean, again, you're just watching the replay here. You got the pitch you wanted, turned on it. It was a bomb over the bullpen. What'd you see? Did you know it was gone as soon as you hit it? And I guess just a little emotion. And then you guys win that game on a walk off.
I was on deck too. I was on deck. Actually, TJ hit the walk off, and I was on deck. I was just trying to do it again, but but nah. The first pitch he threw me was like it was a fastball about low 90s, a little up, and I almost swung at it. I mean, I went for it, but I held up and I saw it good, and I was just thinking fastball, and he threw one a little bit lower, about 4 or 5. Well, a 4 would be middle, so 5 like a little away, maybe a ball off the middle of the plate, and it was about belt high, and I just let it loose. I didn't even feel it off the bat, and I honestly couldn't breathe going around second, so all the way back in the dugout until I like went back in the bathroom back there and like closed the door for a second. I was like shaking. I was like, then I took a deep breath. I was like, all right, we're good.
For sure. So I want to get your feedback.
Going, you know?
For sure. No, absolutely. I definitely want to get your feedback, Matt, on, again, you saw a coaching change, and that was actually in the first year of Mark Kingston. What was the transition like? And I know it was tough, like you said, especially for you being close with Holbrook and everything. And I mean, you played for him for what, 3-4 years?
Yeah.
The transition to Kingston, though, your relationship with him. I mean, everybody I've talked to about Kingston, whether they're playing currently or they just met him, everybody has glowing reviews, says he's the ultimate professional. I think you definitely hear that when he speaks, and I think he's a great baseball man, if you will. But your overall relationship with him, and what do you remember most, I guess, about the transition? What were the things he changed immediately? Because the one thing I remember from 2018, besides the turnaround in the middle of the season, which we'll get to in a second, but just the offense was so much better. I mean, the hitting, guys that really didn't contribute all or had that potential. I mean, I think the guy that comes off, top of my head is Madison Stokes. I mean, he just changed his career. He changed the path of his career for sure.
Stokes always had it. He didn't put it together until King got there. But when he put it together, it was sweet. Tolbert played out of his mind.
Yeah, Tolbert was really good.
Rowe had a busted knee, busted arm playing. My back was messed up. Hunter Taylor had a fracture in his back.
I think Cullen was kind of hurt too, right? Like he was battling.
Hurt.
He was constantly hurt.
He's at South Carolina. But yeah, it was definitely a battle. Oh, I'm sorry. I stepped on my dog.
All right. You're good. And then I was going to say, just the way that 18 season started. I mean, again, you get off to a slow start. We all know the story at this point. You lose that game to PC. Kingston rips you guys pretty much, and all of a sudden, it just the switch is flipped.
First came in, I don't know if you know the story about this, but Tanner, he called about eight guys in that had been there for a while, me including Tolbert. I think Cullen was there, TJ, maybe Sawyer, and maybe Stokes. There was a couple, maybe 1 or 2 other guys, but we met him in the new lounge, and Tanner brought King in for the first time. He was bringing him around campus that summer before he was hired. We basically interviewed him for like an hour and a half.
Really?
Till Tanner came back in there and was like, "You guys done?" He's like, "Y'all gonna talk all day? I gotta show him the rest of campus."
What was your first? I guess in that moment, your first takeaways.
We were just trying to pick his brain. We wanted to make sure we had the right guy for that we want to play for.
Right.
And he showed us respect. He answered the questions like we were asking him with, ultimate just intelligence of baseball knowledge and everything. Like, he was so respectful, and it was like you weren't going to cross him, but he wasn't going to cross you. It was like a mutual thing. You gave him respect. You were going to get it in return, and you kind of had to show that to him. But the guy always had his door open. You could go in there and talk to him whenever you wanted. He helped me get this job at North Greenville. So my ultimate respect is with King. He's the man. I think he'll be able to get to where they need to go. I think he's the right guy. He knows what it takes. He's been there. He's been all around coaching. His resume's solid, as you know.
Yeah, for sure.
But the dude, you have to respect. He's one of those guys, when he walks in the room, everyone shuts up. And the eyes are on him. and his eyes are on you, you know? So it's like one of those type of deals. But he was also like a big brother to us. Like, we go out there and laugh and at practice, but when it was time to work, it was time to work, you know?
Right. Yeah, he definitely just, going to just seeing him. I mean, he definitely is a guy that seems like he commands attention. You know what I mean? Like he's there's just certain people that they have that aura about them, I guess. He definitely seems like he's one of those guys. Well, what would you say? Is there, because again, the story has been well documented and have had some of your former teammates talk about the whole losing to PC. But is there one thing you would point to that necessarily changed? I know you guys had like all the fun stuff taken away, basically the lounge and all that crap. But I mean, was there one thing like on the field that you would say changed, or was it simply you think it just finally clicked, showing up to work and I mean, baseball's a funny game.
Not to knock PC. I think we were embarrassed, and that kind of looked like, instead of tucking our tails and hiding, we were like, well, that shouldn't happen again.
Right.
And we just kind of, as a group, as a unit, like, because we had a bunch of core guys that had played together for 2-3 years, even longer, and we were like, this is ridiculous. Like, look at what, like, we were saying that to ourselves. Like, we kind of had a look in the mirror moment, like, what do we need to do? And everything from that point on was like just spot on. Everything was like, every requirement we were trying to meet was just, we were doing it. And like, because certain drills we would do, for example, like we would do like a 27-out drill or something, and every error we made, we had a sprint or something. And we were determined not to make one. If we did one, we would run 2 sprints or whatever, like we would double the punishment just to lock in just that much more.
Right.
So, and I think that from practice, we did that, and then that just went into the game, and we kind of just got hot, at the right time.
For sure. I'm curious, Matt, just kind of off the top of my head. I always ask the guys that played on the 10 and 11 teams and all that too, who would win if they, hypothetically could play each other. You were on 16 and 18, both two really, really good teams. I mean, I've talked to, again, your former teammates. A lot of guys say 16 is the most fun year of baseball they've ever had in their life. Yeah. I mean, that was a great team.
That was the year we got beat by Oklahoma State.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to say both those teams are super regional teams, though. Very, very good. Omaha quality, I would say. I mean, if you get to the supers, you're
if you take away the injured pitchers that year, then we're probably
for sure. Yeah, exactly.
Will Crow and then Clark.
Yeah, exactly. 16 versus 18, though. Which team are you rolling with? Which team do you think wins that game?
Ooh. Are we talking healthy?
Well, yeah, just healthy peak teams. Yeah.
Oof.
Because 18 you had Adam Hill and Cody Morris.
I played more on the 18. Yeah, but I mean, I could hit those dudes. They were right. That's tough. But you add Clark to that rotation.
Yeah, you do, and he's going to be a big leaguer. So, and like you said, Crow is at some point probably going to be a big. So.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think, to be honest, I think that 16 team had a few more sticks in the lineup.
Yeah.
Just a few.
I'll tell you, man, I really think that's what did Holbrook in, too, was not just like that 17 team getting so much hype. Like, that team was fourth in the country. Y'all were fourth in the country in the preseason. Like, I think that's what made it so, and people were arguing that was the best South Carolina rotation ever. With Schmidt on Friday, Crow on Saturday, and Adam Hill on Sunday. I mean, it really, when you look at it on paper, one of the best ever, for sure. One of the best ever. I mean,
100%.
Yeah. So I don't know, just kind of random, but I remember that. I think that's
injuries did hurt us. I mean,
it killed that team. That injuries killed that 17 team
for a while too. That whole year. That's when Tolbert moved to short.
Yeah.
Stokes couldn't play his hamstring.
Yeah, that's 7.
I started in right and at Arkansas because Stokes played first. We had a tornado that weekend. We played a doubleheader on Sunday.
Yeah, that 17 and 19 teams, I feel like were very similar. Where just it was injuries that just completely derailed the entire season. I want to get back to 18 really quickly though, and obviously I'll get your take on kind of what's happened since, but. Just talk about, again, turning the season around. You make the supers. You're a game away from Omaha, which we all know Omaha is the ultimate goal. And I mean, listen, I'm someone that's just proud of South Carolina's tradition, and I love Carolina baseball because of the expectations. Like, it's fun to pull for a program that you really feel like, any year we can honestly make a run and go to Omaha because the expectations are just so high. I mean, not to knock basketball and football, but
talent wise, we should be able to.
Yeah, top 10 recruiting classes every year. I mean, you have facilities and fan support, everything else. But a really, really good year, even though you didn't get to Omaha. A really good year, especially when you factor in Kingston's first year and the uncertainty at the pretty much the halfway point, turning it around the way you guys did. Just talk about that run. And again, you're a senior. I know it didn't end the way you wanted, but you sweep through the East Carolina Regional, and then you go to Fayetteville and play a team that I would say arguably should have won the College World Series. Just kind of describe, I guess, if you can, that run through the postseason.
Yeah, that was. I mean, for one thing, it was fun.
Yeah,
like it was hot. It was baseball weather. It was fun. We were all. I mean, it was a grind the whole year. That's what we had been playing for. We were all exhausted, but that's what made it fun. We had grinded the whole year to get there. And we had some huge performances from different guys. Like, it felt like it was a different guy every game, just about, that was delivering big hits. Like Danny Blair, he hit one. Yeah. So that East Carolina regional, and those are some good teams. That Wilmington team was good, and East Carolina, I think, was like one of the best hitting teams in the country.
Yeah.
Dude, Carolina was like hitting 330. It was incredible. So we went in going like, these dudes are good. We didn't really take them for granted, even though like East Carolina, which their baseball history is pretty good as well. But we went in like kind of with a chip on our shoulder. Like we were a 2 seed or whatever we were. We were 2 seed, I think, right? Yeah.
Yep, 2 seed. Yep.
Yeah. So we went in like, we not the best team in this regional. Like, we got to prove it. And we ended up doing it. And then Arkansas, we knew what they had going into that. We already played them, 4 or 5 times that year, I think.
Yeah.
So we knew what we were going to see. We knew it was going to be a battle. We had already played at Arkansas once. So we felt like, not that we had an upper hand, but if anyone in the country could do it, we could do it, is what we kind of was our mindset, going into Arkansas. Because of our prior knowledge that year on playing them and what they had and all that kind of stuff.
And if I was going to say, if I remember correctly, that series went down to games. Like, that was I remember. I think you guys lost 2 of 3. I don't think you got swept, but it was like 2-1 and 3-1. They were very close games at Arkansas too.
At Arkansas,
yeah.
Beat them that Friday night. Because
that's right. That's right.
The fucking game of his life. Use my French. But he shoved that game at Arkansas against one of the best hitting teams in the country as a freshman. And we won that game, had a tornado on Saturday, came back Sunday, played 2 7-inning a doubleheader, and ended up – they were both close, real close. But the weather was terrible. It was like 40 degrees. Wind was blowing like 30 miles an hour. It was terrible. So – It was a rough weekend to play, and we were going back in, good weather. Like, we had known what they had. We were familiar with the park, all that kind of stuff. We knew that the venue was going to be incredible. I mean, they had thousands of fans sitting outside of their place, like, when we were taking BP. I'm talking thousands. So, and they were lined up, all around. Not just, in the stadium already. I'm talking, all the way around the stadium, lined up to get in. Right. So – These people they love it, and we knew that going in. And we just came up a little short. That team we played. Hats off to them. They were incredible.
For sure. So your career obviously wraps up, and you get the job at North Greenville. I guess technically, you're a graduate assistant is what they label you, but you're an assistant coach.
Yeah.
Just kind of talk about again. You said King helped you get that job, and I think it's awesome for you for sure is that, you didn't just get some job. I mean, North Greenville is one of the premier Division II baseball teams. I think, you guys have done a good job. Landon's done a great job of, getting those transfer guys that maybe for whatever reason, it doesn't work out at D1 or they just want to play more. They just want a new opportunity. And you guys have pulled in a ton of top talent, but yeah, one of the best D2 schools in the country. Just kind of talk about how that all came about. Did you know immediately off the jump you wanted to get into coaching? What was the what was that process like landing there?
Oh, yeah. It was either get into coaching, find a job,
Yeah, hell no.
Or try to go play any ball. And I probably could have. I mean, Coach Couch and some other coaches were trying to help me out, like with that. And I thought about it, and I didn't know if it was worth it. I wanted to just try it out in coaching for a little while and see what that would see how that would work out. And I talked to King for an hour or so in his office about what he thought I should do, and got his input on it. And we were talking about him with Greenville, and he said, "You want me to call Landon? I'll text him right now." And he sent him a text. He ended up texting right back, and Landon called me like that afternoon or something. And from then, it was like a month later, over the summer, I went up there and because I had never been up there. I knew they were a good Division II school, but I didn't know how good. Every field they got up there is turf,
Right.
Football, soccer, everything. So they just built $1 million baseball facility, like a lounge and a seating area and stuff for baseball. So it's getting really nice. It was nice before they brought in the talent. Now they've built it, and now they got it.
Right.
And there's even more plans to do, like another $1 million upgrade to the baseball area too. So that's even more incentive for the future. But Landon and even Coot Langus too. We have Jonathan Coot Langus. He played at South Carolina as well. Played with the Reds. Pitched for the Reds. Was a center fielder at South Carolina. Couldn't hit in the minors, so they moved him over, and he could sling it on the bump. He ended up striking out Barry Bonds.
Wow,
that's a story for you.
Yeah, that's impressive.
But yeah, he played with Griffey and them. So those two, Landon and Coot, those guys are fun to be around. First off, second off, their baseball knowledge is incredible, through the roof, just because they did it. Landon caught a perfect game in the show. Like,
that's awesome.
So, like, you know what I'm saying? They've done it. They've done everything that you could do in baseball. Like, so just that, they have that type of aura about them too. Like, I grew up watching those dudes. So, and now it's, like I said earlier, it's kind of a dream to coach with them. But yeah, they turned the program around. I think Landon's, this is like his 6th year maybe. And it was, they had a losing record, and they turned around the next year. He got there. They won conference, I'm pretty sure, and they've won 40 games since.
Right.
Past 2 years, we've been like 45-11. So, and this year we were number 1 for a good portion of the year.
So all the crap went down.
Yeah, for old Corona hit.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, I mean, again, this is sort of random, but again, you're with a couple former Gamecock legends, I might add. I like Kingston. I like the staff. I would also like, from the fan side of things, I'd love to see some of these former players come back. I'd love to see some of these former guys get a job. I know it's not easy because, you're already fighting the 11.7, and God, it's pulling teeth to try to get another paid assistant, which I think is insane that they can't do that. But there's a lot of former Gamecocks coaching. I don't know. I think it'd be cool to have some of those guys in some capacity. Again, you can't bring them all back. It's just impossible. You can't hire solely because of that. But I don't know. I'd like to somehow see that be incorporated. Maybe one day. Maybe one day we can see it down the road.
Yeah, one day, hopefully. I want to see them win just as much as the next guy.
Right.
I bleed it. So I want to see him win, and whoever gets up there and makes it happen, makes it happen. I think King can do it. I think Landon could do it, but like King's up there. I hope he can figure it out, and I think he's got the right staff. He's got the dude who can do it. So
for sure,
all my trust is in King. He can do it.
So I do want to ask you again, like you said, you guys' season ended when everybody else's did, March 11th. He actually beat my alma mater, Newberry, so thanks for that. Anyways, you guys' season ended. We all know what happened with the pandemic. I guess, what have you been doing to kill the time? How much time have you been spending on baseball, with family? Like, what's been the quarantine routine for Matt Williams?
I'm living in Greenville right now. My parents are back home, but I'm living with 2 other guys that coach with me. And, had to find stuff to do, to make ends meet and other. Like you said, we've been playing video games. I've been doing whatever I can, but I've also been driving a little bit with Bite Squad.
Nice. Yeah, I think
just to try to make a little buck, Mm. So that's about all I've been doing. Really, just hanging out at the house. I've been going home on the weekends some. It's getting hot, so I've been going out to the lake a little bit. But other than that, just trying to pass the time, stay to myself, keep 6 feet apart, I guess. That's what they say, right?
For sure. Something like that. I'm going to Folly Beach this weekend, so I don't know. We'll have to work on that whole 6 feet thing or whatever. Yeah. Quarantine, whatever it is. Yeah, last thing, Matt, before I get you out of here. I mean, again, you've talked a lot about, you're obviously very confident. I'm confident as well, but you're confident that the program's in good hands with Kingston headed in the right direction. It's such a shame because, I know you're busy and you don't get to watch a ton, but, again, you're a Gamecock, and those are your boys, that were out there, last year and then this year. So you keep up with it, but it's such a shame, man. We didn't get to see this Gamecock team play, finish out this season because I know a lot of people were, some people were skeptical, I guess, or didn't really know. I mean, you lose a series in Northwestern, of course, the fan base is going to freak out. I mean, you'll find this funny.
One game in Northwestern, they freak out.
Yeah, I mean, you'll find this funny. I was at the game in the outfield when the last out was recorded, Game 3, and fan behind me goes, "Well, season's over." And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me, man.
That sounds about right.
I was excited to see this team get into SEC play, and obviously they canceled the season literally 2 days before the Tennessee series at Founders Park. And I was like, can we just have this? Just give me this weekend. Just give me this weekend. Yeah, I was excited, man. I thought this team was going to surprise some people.
They definitely had some boppers, I think they had the lineup that could do it, and defensively they were pretty good as well. Yeah. Just all those arms that haven't thrown, like that's the only thing I would say that would be the issue. But letting them throw and through the season is what what gives them that experience to get them towards the end of the year. So I guess we'll never know,
Yeah, but, I was excited to see Carmen Majinski pitch through an whole SEC season. I mean, it's crazy. It's not an indictment on him, obviously, because he couldn't, he was hurt in 19. He couldn't help it this year, but he's probably going to be a first-round draft pick, and he never really threw an SEC game besides Arkansas. I mean, never got the opportunity.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I never really thought about that.
Yeah.
That's almost like Clark. I mean, Clark pitched and pitched well, but he was a first-rounder, and they knew he's about to have Tommy John.
Yeah. I mean, that's the ultimate sign of respect, right? I mean,
so,
that
is I don't know, but it is what it is,
Yeah. Last thing, I'll actually end it on this. Your guys have been affected by it at North Greenville, South Carolina's guys, because I know I'm keeping up. I'm thinking, who's coming back? Who's going to leave, go to the draft? And I mean, I've heard rumors of certain guys. I mean, Carmen's gone. There's no question about that. But, Thomas Farr's definitely got that option. He's a guy that bumps 95. Yeah. Brandon Jordan's going to have that option. I don't know about, and then you have other guys that are just like these grad transfers. Like I think of Beaver and Bowen. Is Khalil going to come back? Like, can you even imagine, like, I guess you can because you're there. You talk to these guys, your players and probably your former teammates, stuff like that. But I just can't even imagine being in that position, like your season getting cut short and then there's only going to be 5 rounds in the MLB draft, and then you have the uncertainty. Do I come back to school? Do I not? Like, what's –
we have to deciding that now, too. For us, we got a guy from Oklahoma State transferred and played third base for us. Didn't get to finish out the rest of the season. Was probably going to get picked up, but now the draft is shortened. It's D2. Right. So is he going to get picked up? Is he going to get another year to come back?
Right.
Is he does he even want to play anymore? Like, he's a senior, so and then Jordan Holiday's another one from South Carolina.
Yeah, I'm right. Yeah, Holiday. Yep.
Yeah. So Logan Chapman's another one.
Oh yeah, Chapman. Forgot about him. Oh yeah.
Needed to pitch this year. And he was coming off of TJ and was bumping 94 pretty easily, like his last couple starts.
Right.
So, I mean, he was probably going to get picked up. Like, we have some guys that, it was really a detriment to their careers. Just this whole thing, this whole situation, and it's sad,
Do you guys expect – because, I think the one interesting thing is somebody made the point that – you're going to see a huge talent, and not that there already isn't talent, of course, but a huge talent influx at the college level because so many guys out of high school that were going to go or think about going are going to go to college. And so many college guys are going to come back because they need that year, or, they they don't want to settle for the money they're going to get pretty much.
Yeah. And that's another thing that coaches have to balance with scholarships. Like,
right.
Like guys that are going to come back, like we want our guy back that hit 15 homers last year, but like, does he even want to come back? And we already offered, because he was a senior, we already offered this high school senior his money, because we wanted him to come in. And now, like, it's just all, it's all just bumping heads with one another.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out, because I'll tell you, Matt, just off the jump, I've heard rumors from people that, for South Carolina that, and I don't know how much I believe these, but they're just rumors. I've heard that none of the seniors are coming back, which I find very hard to believe. I think, why would George Khalil not come back and be the starting shortstop? And selfishly, I want him to come back and be the starting shortstop because I'm a big George Khalil guy.
Yeah.
But I've heard none of them are coming back. And I mean,
for me,
definitely gone. Like,
if I was a senior, or if it was my redshirt junior year or redshirt senior or whatever, I'm coming back 1,000%.
Yeah.
There's no question in my mind I'm coming back and playing. But it might just be me, but like you said, like, I loved it there. I enjoyed my years there. I wish I could have 5 more,
Right.
Like, but that's where I'm coming from. Like, there's no way I would not come back or take whatever they're going to take, something late, or go play indie ball. If they got an option to take another year, I'll take another year, 100%. It feels up to me.
Yeah, I think it's just interesting. I've seen the Gamecock Baseball Twitter account doing, like, they're honoring the seniors and stuff. And, I mean, I saw a tweet from Graham Lawson. I thought it sounded like he's not coming back, at least. Now, he's a guy that I think might get picked up in the draft. I mean, as hard as he throws and everything. But,
he was before he got hurt.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, he's filthy for sure. It'll certainly be interesting, just to see who comes back and who makes that decision. And I mean, like you said, I feel for coaches. The scholarship situation's already tough in college baseball, and then you add this on top of it, and it's just a mess. It's a mess for everybody.
Big mess. You're correct about that.
For sure. Well, I was going to say, Matt, appreciate you taking the time, man. Definitely. Let's do it again sometime for sure. It was a pleasure to watch you do what you did at Carolina and all the great moments and memories and everything. And obviously, stay safe, stay healthy, and wishing you best of luck at North Greenville. I know you guys – as soon as we get back to baseball, you guys are going to get back to winning ways, because Landon has built a great program up there, and definitely hope to hear of more success coming from you guys' way. But really appreciate it, man. Love to do it again.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on. Enjoyed it.
So for Matt Williams, I'm Chris Phillips. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on an episode of the Spurs Upshow.